I entitled this evening's homily, Insight. Insight is an interesting English word. It puts two words together, sight and in. Sight meaning vision, paningin. And in meaning inside, within. Insight is about an inner kind of vision. In our gospel today, Jesus is explaining to his disciples why he is speaking in parables instead of plain language. Maybe to paraphrase his answer, what he is really trying to point out is, I want them to develop the gift of insight or to activate their inner vision. And that is not possible if you make things too obvious for them. Jesus used parables to make people think, to stir up their imagination, to let them develop insights. This is precisely the reason why Bible scholars doubt the originality of the texts where Jesus is explaining or interpreting his parables. That's a little bit like you tell a joke and then you explain the point of the joke. If you explain the joke, it means they did not get the joke. Have you ever watched a movie and found yourselves sometimes reacting to the dialogue lines? Honestly, sometimes I get turned off, especially by some lines in some Filipino movies where the bida or the lead character talks too much or over-explains what's going on inside her. Sometimes you hear dialogue lines like, if it were only possible to open my heart to you, you would know the terrible suffering that you have caused me. You have no idea how very, very painful it is. When they start to talk that way, I get disappointed and I am tempted to say, okay, you could have left it to the capacity of the actor to act it out without saying it. You could have left some of it to the intelligence of the viewer. Ganyang klaseng dialogue lines na medyo OA. Sometimes, the facial expression is enough, or the anguished silence, or the looks of the eye, or the tone of the voice, or even the surrounding images can supply what does not need to be said. This is precisely the problem nowadays with the audiovisual culture of the present generation. They are becoming more and more dependent on the sounds and the visuals. Nowadays, to get people to read a text in black and white, you have to accompany it always with a picture or a video or music or any illustration. I know some people who can no longer read beyond 1 or 2 paragraphs. You post something on Facebook and they say it's too long because they can only read 1 or 2 paragraphs. They get tired after reading a few lines if there are no pictures or sounds or visuals. The black and white print no longer attracts because they still have to put the words together to create a sentence and the sentences together in order to understand what the writer is trying to say. The audiovisual culture cuts that short. It can make people lazy, unable to activate their imagination, or unable to visualize things mentally until the reader is able to say, "Oh, I see." Not with the eyes, I see from within, insight. Maybe that is why some people become gullible. Gullible is an English word that refers to people who can be easily fooled by pranksters or scammers or even swindlers. What seems obvious to you might not be obvious at all to a gullible person. They are the type who will share fake news more quickly. Or they're the kind who can be influenced by the comments of trolls, which they could even take as public opinion. There are people who have no sense of discernment. They can even be very stubborn with their views. Or you can hear them mouthing propaganda or laughing at jokes that are not funny at all, or easily persuaded by simplistic solutions to societal problems. One time, I heard a speaker use the word damning. I thought he had merely mispronounced damning, until I realized he was talking about the process of making people more and more stupid. Dumbing. Not damning, but dumbing. Dumb. D-U-M-B. Dumb. Silent B. Making people more and more stupid, or less and less capable of insight. Sometimes you almost feel like shaking them and saying to them, "Hey guys, wake up! You are being fooled. He is just pulling your leg." The dumbing can be caused by fanaticism, or by ideology, or by a psychotic tendency that can color up all your perception of reality. Perhaps because I was raised up in a transition, I saw the transition period from democracy to dictatorship and back to democracy. My generation was raised on vocabularies like conscientize, awareness raising, social analysis, critical thinking, or the more modern woke, W-O-K-E. One time, Jesus got so exasperated about people who were asking him for a sign. And at another time, he said, "How come you are able to preempt the weather, but you're not able to interpret the signs of the times?" For some people, a crisis situation or a painful experience can lead to conversion, or a reorientation, or a total renewal of judgment. I wish to believe that in this crisis situation that we're going through, many people are beginning to experience a renewal of judgment, a reorientation, or even better, a conversion. Perhaps we can end this with the lines which I have heard many times from Pope Francis. He says, "Sometimes we are able to see more clearly only through eyes washed by tears."